Oh, okay. If you want to know what the New World Order beast system looks like, then look no further. This game is called Watchdogs Legion and it is full of pre-programming. We're not going to focus on the story, we're going to focus on the world that the game is set in, right? So in this game, everybody is connected via an Oculus. It's this little biometric device that's attached to the side of the head. And it has all of your data on it. Your crypto money, what you do for work, etc. As well as Bradley, the AI that comes built in as standard. This is the transhumanist agenda, merging man and machine. Biometrics are a physical or behavioural human characteristics that can be used to digitally identify a person to grant access to systems, devices or data. Examples of these biometric identifiers are fingerprints, facial patterns, voice, etc. So with this biometric device, they can create a digital person that can be monitored and controlled by the state. Say you'll do something they don't like, have your crypto accounts frozen. Like, do you understand that you can no longer function in society without having this device attached to your person? London is now a dystopia with Albion, the private military police force, enforcing legislation on the streets. They stop people and perform random ID checks using a scanning device, which scans the Oculus and lets them know if the citizen is wanted by the state. This is what temperature scanners are for. They're going to introduce them as temperature scanners, but then they'll switch them out for RFID scanners. There are automated checkpoints everywhere, which scan the Oculus and allow the citizen to move through if they're not wanted by the state. But if they are wanted by the state, then it stops, and you get these gun turrets come up on the top. And it also plays all of these automated warnings too, like see something, say something, and we're here to keep you safe. Just loads of dystopian stuff. Everything is now connected via the E7 network. Because of the frequency range that E7 works off of, you have to install antennas at closer distances in order to transmit the signals effectively. So we see all the E7 antennas on the top of buildings everywhere. This network is needed in order to run all the automated drones, as well as the automated cars, buses and taxis. This is why they want to get rid of all the old gas vehicles and make it illegal to drive them by 2030, so that everything is connected to Skynet and on the grid. Smart homes, smart meters, apps that manage your finances so that you don't have to. These are all spying devices of the system. They're going to call it transparency. If you have nothing to hide, then what's the big deal with the state knowing how often you regularly visit your smart toilet, you know? All the retail shops are shut and instead there is a click and collect service. This is exactly what they're doing now during lockdown here in London. When I was walking through my local town centre, you would see a few people queuing up outside the shops and just collecting stuff that they had ordered online. So I think that's here to stay, and the old retail shopping, going in and trying stuff on, that's gone. Just forget about that, that's gone. There are tent cities everywhere because robots have taken all the work away from people, which is the same premise in the game called Detroit Become Human. It's just another dystopian game where robots are developing consciousness or simulating consciousness, depending on how you look at it. So yeah, in Detroit Become Human, let me think. In Detroit Become Human, robots have developed consciousness or simulated consciousness, depending on how you want to interpret it. Later on, they try to have the consciousness recognized by the humans, either through violent or peaceful protests. It's player's choice. But this is the setup to blur the lines between man and machine. Please let me explain. If you have an android with a human arm which says it is that says it is conscious and identifies as a human, and then on the other side you have a human with a robotic arm who identifies as an android, then what is up and down? truly. This is where the LGBTQ agenda comes into it, identifying as whatever you like, opening the doors for, android rights and other stupid things. You can see in the comment sections of this game, like the younger generation saying things like, oh, I would help the androids, I would be on their sides. It's just all pre-programming to have empathy for non-sentient machines. Like, I get why people in my generation, the millennial generation, and generations below me think this is cool. You can hack, bro, like blah, blah, blah. But truly, this isn't freedom. This is a controlled dystopia. And we're heading towards it, and people just don't see it. This is the great reset, This is the new economy that they want. This is the new system that they want, which isn't meant for the benefit of humanity. You can see, like, it puts humans out of work. It only benefits the ones that are in control at the top. So yeah, it's time to come out of her.
Auto drive now enabled.
This is London Calling. I'm Tash, and this is Buccaneer, your source for what they don't want you to know. Today we're talking about policing, by consent or by force for profit. Ever since Sir Robert Peel created the police force as we know it in 1829, London has relied on the Metropolitan Police Service for peace, stability and justice. They weren't perfect, but at least there was some democratic control. Now there's a new sheriff in town. If you're a victim of crime or you just want to silence a peaceful protest, there's a new police force to turn to. Albion. And they're about as far from the old-fashioned Bobby on the Beat as it's possible to get. When Hassani handed over London to Nigel Cass, many people were surprised. But we weren't. London has been up for sale and privatisation for years. The only difference is that now the private companies have guns. So how did it happen? What...
surrounding themselves with ex-military guys, with 5-star generals or whatever it might be, because that sort of suggests that they want to run the country like you run a war. And in a war you have to be incredibly hierarchical, you have to be top down. People essentially have to obey orders because that's the only way that you can make that work. That's not how it works normally in a democracy, and that's the problem really, is you end up in a situation where normal peacetime checks and balances are suspended, and that's really scary.
Auto drive now disabled.
Is policing ever politically neutral? We spoke to academic Alfie, all names on the down low, of course, about the politics of law and order.
I think it's very important to consider the changes that have happened in public space in London. I mean, the honest answer is there hardly is any shared public communal space anymore. Everything is privatised, owned by corporations and companies, and it's very difficult to feel that the space is our own to use. And essentially, you can be moved on from any area by forces which are employed to police the private area for corporate profit rather than for a community's overall well-being and shared livelihood.
So I think what you're looking at overall is a situation where it's now completely impossible to distinguish between a kind of state police or a police which operates in the service of the community and one which operates in a set kind of interest, which leads us to the situation we've got with something like Albion today. A private resource gives you a very different kind of justice to what you might have in a force.
We are keeping you safe. Government officials
is London Calling. I'm Tash, and this is Buckingham. London has relied on the Metropolitan Police Service for peace, stability, and justice. They weren't perfect, but at least there was some democratic control.
Oh, for God's sake. Yeah, what are you saying? Yes, fantastic. Yeah.
The thing you're after is around here.
Come on.
Roll up. Listen to me. We don't need guns right now. What's that? What was that?
I've had enough. Stand
That's
on.
the target. Should be hackable.
That's my cue. Leave. Damn it. You're just irritating.
Position.
Think this through. I just can't fucking do it.
This is the end of the line. Take a look. What? Someone cut the power.
We lost them. Radio HQ, let them know.
Transfer complete.